students! Welcome back to class. Most of you know that I like to keep my hair gray, and the reason I do that is because I think it is important for women who have gray hair to not be embarrassed about it, to not be embarrassed about aging. After all, men with gray hair typically leave it gray and everybody thinks it's fine. But today I saw my guest went and had some fun and put some color in her hair, so I thought just for fun I will add a little bit of color too. So I took this marker and I've been drawing some streaks here, just having a little bit of fun with it. The marker seems to be running out though, but anyway, so we'll see what happens to that. You know, the main point is just don't take yourself too seriously. Your looks, don't take them too seriously. Don't think about the way you look too much. Just mostly think about the animals and think about the world and how we can make this world a better place. Let's look at this speech on intersectionality and altruism. Let's see if it makes sense. I'm going to put check marks if it's good, and we're going to put X's if we hear things that just don't make sense. So let's see if this is something that she can explain well to all of us. Many people don't know what these things are yet, so let's learn.
Today I want to discuss whether intersectionality has a place in animal rights activism. Well, first let's find out what intersectionality is. Intersectionality is the interconnected nature of social categorizations, such as race, class, and gender as they apply to a given individual or group regarded as creating overlapping and interdependent systems of discrimination or disadvantage.
Okay, let's look at that. An interconnected nature of social categorizations. So that means like when they overlap, they all overlap. So race, class, gender, as they apply to an individual or group. Okay. You guys understand that? Let's listen. She'll probably explain this some more.
Yeah, it was coined by distinguished professor of law Kimberly Crenshaw in 1989 and was used as a legal term or concept to show the intersection between race and gender. As we can see here, the term now encompasses far more. Beyond race and gender.
Okay, wait, let's look at this diagram. So I see sex and gender here. Those are the big words. And all around here we have age, disability, geography, culture, income, sexual orientation, education, race, ethnicity. Okay.
We now include things like religion, age, ability, education, sexual orientation, etc. Now, this in itself is a reasonable concept for humans, but you might notice how none of those categories represent non-human animal experience.
Excellent point. Check mark to you. Check mark, first of all, for making a presentation. Check mark for making it on a topic that's interesting. You're not just talking about your hair, so that's great. And we're going to make it's about intersectionality and altruism. Both of these things are worth talking about. So I'm giving you 2 more check marks for that. So far you already have 4 check marks because I like what I'm hearing.
And that's because our types of oppression do not intersect with theirs, but rather their oppressions is what we base ours on. Now, from the book Eternal Treblinka by Charles Patterson.
Maybe I just didn't get that, but I think what she tries to say is that basically we humans are the ones who are oppressing these animals, which is what we do every single day, all around the world. Chickens, cows, pigs, fish, lamb, all these different animals everywhere. Even crocodiles, people cut them up and make purses out of them. I mean, it's absolutely despicable the way that we treat animals. I'm thinking right now about the horses that they take and they murder them and they take their blood. They use all kinds of body parts. Did you know that they even, when they kill mother cows, they kill them sometimes when they're pregnant, and then they put a needle into the baby and they take the blood? It is unbelievable how we torture and abuse animals in this society. It's not right. So I'm glad that she's talking about the animals. So I'm going to give her a check mark for that.
Once animal exploitation was institutionalized and accepted as part of the natural order of things, it opened the door to similar ways of treating other human beings, thus
Now, she says as part of the natural order. I would put that in quotation marks, the so-called natural order, because I do not believe it is the natural order of things at all. So this was institutionalized and accepted as if it's natural, but it's not. Nowhere in the rest of the world, when it comes to any other species, do they exploit them the way that we do. There's nothing natural about the way that we treat animals.
Paving the way for such atrocities as human slavery and the Holocaust. As Aviva Cantor writes, nowhere is patriarchy's iron fist as naked as in the oppression of animals.
Okay, so she is talking about the Holocaust and relating it to animals. Good job. The Holocaust never ended. The animals are still put into gas chambers right now. And slavery never ended. The animals are considered to be as slaves. We imprison them, we rape them, we force them to do tricks for us in circuses and in theme parks such as SeaWorld. We abuse them by riding horses, by putting them in races, and when their legs break, we kill them. We don't try to fix the leg. We murder them. There are dog races. There are, in England, they take dogs and they train them to hunt foxes, terrifying the foxes, and these people ride on horses while they do this. It is just never-ending animal exploitation in this world, and it is wrong. So thank you, Stacy, for bringing this up.
Which serves as the model and training ground for all other forms of oppression. By the way, what the animals are going through is a Holocaust. You can look up the definition. Intersectionals insist on being offended by this term because they think it's being compared to the Jewish Holocaust. Well, there were other human Holocausts. Sonia Say and Seb Alex do some great videos on this subject. I suggest that you go over to their channels and watch those. And humans have created these.
I don't know who she just said. I hope it's written in the description. But whenever you say somebody's name on your channel, it's really important that you spell it out or say it really clearly so that people can follow up.
Systems of oppression by first practicing it on other animals and then turning it on each other. There are many examples of this. One is just serial killers that start with killing small animals or using terms like treating someone like an animal. We don't say they beat that dog like a woman. Now, while we can most definitely address intersectionality and other forms of injustice in our everyday lives, it simply doesn't apply when we're speaking up against the injustice towards other animals. Non-human animals do not oppress or discriminate against us.
Exactly. Perfectly well said. Good. They never do. They don't discriminate against us. They just act upon their natural instincts. They do not have moral agency. Animals are here on the planet with us. They're not here for us, and it is our job to protect them and to protect the ecosystem of which we are all part.
So their ongoing oppression is completely their own, and it deserves its own recognition and movement. We're representatives, lawyers, lobbyists, and advocates for the animals during our activism. None of us need to be discussing our personal problems or affiliations while doing our jobs.
That's interesting. What do you guys think? I agree with her. I think that whatever happens in our personal lives, when we are advocating for the animals, it's about the animals. That's it. Plain and simple. They are the victims. We aren't the victims.
A red herring is a fallacy argument that distracts from the original topic, and intersectionality is a red herring to the discussion of animal rights.
Yes. Another check mark. Excellent.
Whenever human issues are raised in animal activist groups or events, tensions build, activists divide, and then the animals get complete.
Yes, absolutely. Whenever these issues are brought up, somebody is always calling somebody else a racist. Somebody else is always calling somebody else anti-Semitic if they bring up the example of the Holocaust. And this is not the case. These terms, these analogies are there to show people that the Holocaust never ended and that slavery never ended. It does not in any way diminish what the humans went through. But we are speaking now on behalf of the animals that are suffering now. everywhere. Watch Seaspiracy if you haven't yet. Watch Cowspiracy. Watch Dominion Movement. Watch Earthlings. These are ways that you can learn what we're talking about.
Completely ignored again. And that brings me to the topic of altruism. Now, Roger Yates is an English lecturer in sociology that specializes in animal rights. I have respect for his work for the animals, especially with the ALF. And even
when she says the ALF, she means the Animal Liberation Front. I'm pretty sure that's what it stands for. Again, when you're mentioning things with acronyms, it's really important that you spell them out so that people understand what exactly you're saying. Because if you use abbreviations, people won't be able to follow. Now, unless you're speaking only to the converted, only to vegans, it's important that we make sure that when we talk, we always take a little bit of extra time to include people who might just show up here and have no clue what we're talking about. So that's why your definition of intersectionality was really great at the beginning.
His regular discourse on his YouTube channel. However, when he speaks about activists that want to focus on animals only, he's like a broken record. The focus and the scope, the focus and the scope, the focus and the scope. And the gist is that the founder of the Vegan Society, Donald Watson, had a vision of veganism being a way for a better world for humanity. To be honest, I've been unable to find a lot of archives of Donald Watson's actual words or thoughts on this, or even his political or religious views. I can only go on a few quotes that I found. And there is even a website that disputes that he even meant it to be anything more than a diet. Now, I believe he meant it to be more, but I also don't believe he could foresee what it would become. And yes, veganism is a path to evolution, but I believe that evolution must be altruistic. And I don't believe it can be truly altruistic with a goal to help humanity. Altruism is a behavior that is intended to directly or indirectly benefit others, not the...
Yes, exactly. Altruism is about benefiting others, not ourselves. That's true altruism. Very good. Giving you a check mark for that. We have to think beyond ourselves if we ever want to have a peaceful society. It's not just about sticking up for ourselves. Let's say as a woman, I would only speak out for women's rights. I must also speak out for men's rights. Because women's rights, it benefits me. But what about other people's rights? And this brings us to the animals. Who is speaking on their behalf? They don't have cell phones to film themselves. They can't give out messages. They don't have YouTube. They can't read or write. It is our job to bring their messages forward. And they want to live. They don't want to be in captivity. They don't want to be raped into existence. This is what we do. We rape cows, force them to have babies, take away their babies so that we can steal their milk? How horrible is that? We rape pigs so that they will have baby pigs. Then we take those baby pigs away and we murder them and eat them. How is any of that okay? We take chickens, we force them into tiny cages, and when they lay their eggs, we don't let them be mothers to the baby chicks. We take away the eggs. We murder the baby boys because they'll never be able to have eggs, to produce any. Horrible. We breed lambs into existence so that we can eat them as a celebration at Easter. How horrific. Who is speaking up on behalf of the animals? Stacy is.
Self, and at a cost to the self. Also, true altruism cannot be found in benefiting a group you belong to.
Right.
And in this case, humanity or humans. Every year, about 80 billion land animals and 2 to 3 trillion sea animals are killed for a population of less than 8 billion humans, just for food alone. Now, if I had a crystal ball that showed me the future and I found out that my vegan diet shaved 20 years off my life or that human species didn't survive it, I would still do it because it's the right thing to do.
Yes. Did you guys hear that? It's the right thing to do. Now, believe it or not, the most amazing thing is that not only are you benefiting the animals when you don't eat them, but it also turns out to be an amazing bonus that you can be completely healthy. So it's a no-brainer. Everybody wins. The animals win, we win, and the environment wins. Be vegan.
And it's about justice. We've all seen pictures of how the world flourished and started to quickly recover in just months while we were in lockdown.
Right.
Imagine
I'm going to give
what
a
the world
check
could
mark.
do without us completely.
I'm going to give a check mark for that. Did you see what happened when different places, different ports, when the boats weren't all coming in? Who came back? The dolphins came back, and the sea lions came back, and all kinds of fish came back, and birds started coming into the cities more. It's their world too. We must learn how to share it with them and not abuse them.
Completely.
Yeah.
Within the animal rights movement, intersectionality tends to bring with it word policing and predicates itself on being self-absorbed and human-centric by telling people to be aware of whether they are more privileged than their fellow human. What the animals need is for us to be less politically correct in our language and more morally correct in our actions.
Oh, good one, Stacy. Very good. Excellent point. This is what we've got so far for Stacy. The only bad that she has is that she said the names of somebody too quickly, and the rest of her presentation is excellent.
And guess what? The whole human race needs to check their privileges compared to other animals. The animals we're speaking up for don't get a safe space. Pro-intersectional veganism asks the animal rights movement to turn their focus back on human rights yet again. The animals and their causes don't owe the human race anything.
Yes. The animals don't owe us anything because they don't take anything from us. We all can live in harmony. They're just doing their thing. They're not out there trying to capture us and make us into their slaves. They're not out there trying to breed us into existence and treat us like their pets. They're just living. They're just wandering the earth and checking stuff out. You know, they're in forests, sniffing around. And when it's time to eat, yes, sometimes they eat other animals, but not always. You don't see giraffes hurting other animals. They're just out there doing their thing. Zebras, bison. You know how big bison and elephants are? They're vegan. So it's not all animals that eat other animals.
But if you ever hope to truly see human rights achieved, you owe it to yourself and your cause to be vegan.
We take their children.
Did you see those eggs going down that chute? It is horrific the way that we treat animals. It truly is. These are the baby chicks, the baby boy chicks. They're murdered by being put in a giant blender like that, just ground up. Would you be able to put a baby chick in a blender and press the button? Isn't it much more your nature to hold a little baby chick and just marvel at the innocence and the beauty? And wouldn't you want to take care of him? I would. Most people would. Would you be able to pick up a cow and take her away from her mother and then steal her milk? Do you know how devastating that is for the mother? Do you know how devastating that is for the baby? This baby boy will be killed. He will be eaten as veal. How did we end up in a society that thinks that this is okay? There's nothing okay about this ever at all. Leave the animals alone. Stop hurting them. Live in harmony with them. Stop breeding them into existence. There are so many animals on the planet right now that shouldn't even have been born in the first place. Now you might say, well, it's better that they live than that they die. How do you know? No, not necessarily. Not if they suffer their whole lives. Imagine if you were a mother and every time you gave birth, somebody took your baby away from you. And so you think, okay, well, I don't want to have any more babies. But then they force you, they rape you, and they make you have a baby, and then they take your baby away again and again and again. It needs to stop.
Take their children.
Look at this mother running after. How can anybody watch that and be okay with it? Imagine if this was your mother and you were taken away and your mother is trying to save you and she can't. She has no gun. She can't run as fast as a truck. Imagine if you were a mother and somebody took your baby away. How devastating would that be? Please don't hurt animals. Stacy, this is an excellent presentation.
We take their freedom. We take their lives, sending them healthy and whole into a slaughterhouse to come out as packaged pieces on the other side. And we tell ourselves that somehow along the way something humane and ethical happened.
And in the process, we harm ourselves.
The World Health Organization publishing a report this morning on the dangers of processed and red meat.
We destroy our environment, emitting through animal agriculture more greenhouse gases than any other industry, tearing down our forests and slaughtering our native animals to make room for farms.
As hard as this is to watch, Stacy, every time you're mentioning a new animal that we abuse, I'm giving you a check mark because it's important that people see what goes on. You're talking about the environment. You're talking about the pigs, the chickens, the cows. It's so important that we know the devastation here. This is just a place of massacre where we just keep these animals without any sign of nature, no trees, no grass. We have no right to keep them in captivity. Horrible.
The world's cattle alone consume a quantity of food equal to the caloric needs of 8.7 billion humans.
Do you hear that? The world's cattle consume the same amount of calories as 8.7 billion. Let's listen to that again.
Quantity of food equal to the caloric needs of 8.7 billion humans. And yet 1 in 9 humans, 795 million, suffer from chronic undernourishment.
So we have all of these crops. We feed them to the cows instead of to the humans. How does that make any sense? It just doesn't. When we filter them through these animals, it's not effective. It's not efficient. It doesn't make any sense at all. And then we kill the animals. Why not just eat the crops to begin with? What are cows eating? Plants. Why don't we just eat the plants directly? And then we will have so much left over to help to feed the rest of the world.
And 844 million lack clean water, while 1,000 liters are used to produce 1 liter of milk and 15,000 liters for 1 kilogram of beef.
And yet we continue to justify animal agriculture by claiming that it's normal, necessary, and natural. That the animal kingdom or certain species within it are inferior to ourselves because they lack our specific type of intelligence, because they are weaker and cannot defend themselves. We believe that in our apparent superiority, we have earned the right to exercise power, authority, and dominion over those we perceive to be inferior for our own short-sighted ends. It is a justification that has been used before.
By the white man to enslave the black, or to
By the white men to enslave the black. The same kind of justification. Yes.
take their land and their children.
Can you imagine that we used to do that to humans and that we didn't even learn and we keep doing it to the animals?
By the Nazis to murder the Jews.
that the Nazis murdered the Jews like this. It's horrendous. And then after that, we didn't learn. We just kept doing it to the pigs, the cows, the chickens, the lambs, the turkeys. Nobody deserves a life like this. It's barbaric. How did this ever happen? If you think that this is wrong, would you have spoken out in this time and said that it's wrong? Well, let me tell you, how much are you speaking out right now when it's still happening to the animals? Are you speaking out at all? If not, maybe you would have been this guy, right here, standing by and watching or participating. Speak out against the animal holocaust that's taking place right now. Stop eating them. Stop wearing them. Stop using them. They are not objects for us. They belong on the earth with us, and they are not here for us. Thank you, Stacy, for this presentation.
By men to silence and oppress women.
Exactly. Remember when women wanted the right to vote? To vote. Just to vote. This wasn't that long ago. Women were treated as objects, as a belonging to their husbands. How messed up is that? Women, when you were in this position, or your ancestors were, did you not know it was wrong? Of course, even now. Sometimes wages are not identical. We've come a long way, yes. But women, you should all be vegan because you would never want your babies to be taken away from you, and because you understand that you have the right to vote, and everyone on this planet should be treated with dignity and respect.
Are we doomed to repeat history over and over? Does this superiority complex, this pure selfishness, define who we are as a species?
We are repeating history, and we always will unless we learn from it. So learn from it and be vegan from now on. Stacy, you have an excellent presentation here. I gave you lots and lots of check marks. We're going to ignore this one. I can probably rewind the video and hear it if I want to, and maybe it's written in the description. I don't know. Your presentation was so good that I'm giving you an A+. Thank you for bringing up the subject of intersectionality and altruism, and I look forward to seeing some more of your videos. If you haven't yet subscribed, where's my subscribe button? It's somewhere here. Please subscribe to not only my channel, but also Trashcarcass. Subscribe to her channel. Subscribe to my channel. I am That Vegan Teacher. Press the button. It's over here on the side, and you'll be able to see new videos. We will be discussing all kinds of things, all the animals, all the different humans that are around the world who are vegan or not. We're going to be understanding cognitive dissonance, why people aren't vegan, why are they hypocrites, why are they so messed up, and they act and they think that they are good people, but they pay for the rape, the torture, and the murder of these animals. We're going to learn. We're going to figure it out. Thank you for watching. Press the notification bell as well so that you can get every single video as soon as it comes out. There will be videos popping up on the screen right now. If you haven't yet seen them, go ahead. Be curious. Click on them. Have a look around That Vegan Teacher's channel and see what else is there. There's all kinds of videos. There's even some there from before I was on TikTok. There's songs of me singing. I know I'm not that great of a singer, but you can go there and laugh at me. And there's all kinds of stuff. And a lot of the videos that I did on TikTok are also here on this channel. You can go back and have a look. Make some popcorn and just check stuff out. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for the monitors. Thank you for everybody who's being vegan fantastic. That means that you are helping vegans, even if you're not vegan yourself. Thank you to everybody who's not vegan phobic. Don't be vegan phobic. Don't be rude or mean to animal rights activists on purpose. That's just wrong. Vegan phobia is wrong. Just like homophobia is wrong, and just like racism is wrong. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye for now, everyone. Do 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 do.